In this whiteboard lesson, I'm going to give you an overview of my course, Ninja Level Efficiency and Maximum Productivity. Now, if you're watching, you want to improve your productivity and efficiency. Everybody wants to get more done. Everybody wants to make the maximum use of their 24 hours. And I've developed some principles, and I teach these in my course, and I've written about them on my blog, and I've used them in my own life. I have a big, busy family. I've written a PhD, and I've written a best-selling book, and I have got a lot done in my life, and a lot of other people are busy as well. But people do often say to me, Peter, how do you get so much done? I have the same 24 hours as you do, but perhaps you can learn something from the principles and the practices that I'm going to take you through in this overview lesson, and in more detail in the course in full detail. So you want to get up to this level over here, which is ninja level productivity. You simply want to get from where you are today to over there tomorrow, or as soon as possible. Now there's a couple of principles and there's a couple of practices around this picture that I'd like to teach you. And this is you over here today, and this is going to be you over here. Once you apply these principles, once you've been through the course, and once you start to put these into practice, and maybe there's only one or two that are going to work for you, pick them out, apply them. Don't try and do everything at once. These are things that I've built up over the years. These are habits, practices that do take some getting used to, and making sure that you customize and apply in the right way for your specific situation. The first is to get your mindset correct. And in the course, I talk about Sean Thompson, who wrote a book called I Will. And in there, he talks about a personal statement of intent. And that's the first thing that you need to get right. You need to ground yourself. And there's no difference here if you have a mission statement or some sort of code of outcomes. Or I like Sean Thompson. It's very simple. He teaches it to kids. He's a surfer, and there's some things in there that he learned from a very difficult life that he had, difficult traumatic experiences that he's had in his life, and he's really grounded that all into these principles of the I will statement. It's very simple, very easy to understand and to take on board, and I've done it. I've been through it in a corporate context, and I've developed my own personal statement of intent. And of all the team building exercises and similar types of people that I've listened to, he's the one that has resonated with me the most. So once you've got that single-minded focus, you can then use that to calibrate the journey that you take in your life. And you keep going back to that, or a variation of it, or you update it on a regular basis. But you should have a single-minded focus in what you do. Now, that's not something that you have to stick to for too long. You could do it once a year, you could do it once every 6 months. I wouldn't do it less than that, because to make real progress, you have to choose something and then stick to it. So for example, are you going to write a book? Are you going to do your PhD? Are you going to get your kids through school? Are you going to get that new job? Are you going to climb that mountain? Are you going to lose a certain amount of weight? Are you going to make a certain amount of money? You're going to reach a certain level of success in your job. I will. These are the personal statements of intent that you're going to write down, and which I teach you about in the course. And that single-minded focus is going to keep you on this trajectory over here. But then I also teach the practical aspects of getting that done. It's all very well and good to have these, and that's going to go up in your wall, but those on their own are not going to help you make the progress to where you want to get to. And in the course, I talk about, a very agile approach to life, where you have to take steps to get there, and you have to avoid what's called a plan B mindset. And I talk about the story of the Spanish naval commander, and it's a well-known story, and you'll have heard of it when you hear people talking about you must burn your boats. And the Spanish naval commander, when they landed on the beach, he commanded his men to burn their boats. And what that meant was that they had to conquer, they had to defeat the enemy on that land that they had overtaken. Because they had no boats, they could not escape back into the sea. So they defeated their plan B mindset. And what that means is that based on your personal mission statement over here, you're going to understand what steps you're going to be able to take to get there. And you're going to burn your boats in terms of the steps that you need to take to get there. So if you're going to lose weight and you need to get to the gym, have an accountability partner. Burn your boats by telling somebody, I will meet you at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And if you know that somebody is meeting you there at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, you're going to get out of bed. You've effectively burnt your boats. In my career as an IT leader, and I've implemented systems, and I tell the story in the course. I used to run IT for the group HR function at the bank where I work, and in the shared services center there was a certain system that was very old and very frustrating for people, and at a town hall one year people got very agitated about the system, and I stood up in front of 100 people and I said, I commit to fixing this system within 6 months. And that was me burning my boats, because I publicly announced a step that I was going to take, and I got rid of my plan B mindset. So I made sure that I had to take that step. Now I've put in lots of systems over the years, and I've taken lots of other steps, but eliminate your willingness to back out of something by burning your boat so that you have to ratchet up, just like that Spanish naval commander did. And then in the course I also talk to you about, and I teach you from my own daily discipline of managing actions and tasks. So now, even at a smaller level, if this is a project or a 6, 2, 3, 4, 5 month plan, whatever the case may be, you need to be able to break that down into the individual tasks that you do on a daily basis. And I teach in my course how in my own notebooks I write a square on the left, and then I list the tasks that I need to take, and as I go through and I complete those, I tick those off and I mark them as complete. So at the daily level of your task management, you need to be making sure that you're combining your personal statement of intent with your plan B mindset to make progress on individual tasks. And in making progress in your tasks, one of the most powerful concepts that I've written about extensively, and people have given me lots of fantastic feedback about, and in fact somebody sent me a picture the other day of they'd reorganized their desk or their workspace. They'd taken this concept and they'd applied it, and it's really just simply the power of 10 minutes. So if you can maximize 10 minutes in your day, everybody has 10 minutes to spare. In our busy, chaotic lives, it's very rare that you'll have a long uninterrupted period of, let's say, 3 or 4 hours at a time to really immerse yourself in a project. But you will have 10 minutes. Between one or other thing, or between one or other distraction or responsibility that you have in your life, you should be able to carve out 10 minutes. But it's not so much what you do in those 10 minutes that counts. It's how you maximize your approach, your preparation to those 10 minutes. So if you have good daily discipline about managing your emails, for example, or managing the papers or the documents on your desk, or wherever it is that you need to perform that task, then when you are able to grab those 10 minutes and do something in that space, you're going to be a lot more effective with those 10 minutes. So the power of 10 minutes is really in the discipline that you apply to your personal workspace, and the area or the processes or the mindset or the philosophy that you use to get these tasks done. And if you've got these tasks written down and linked to the steps that you need to take and your single-minded focus, when you come to actually spend the 10 minutes on the task that is part of your journey to the transformation that you need to achieve the ninja level productivity, you can be absolutely 100% certain that those 10 minutes are going to make a massive difference on the transformation that you want to achieve. Then a couple of important other principles I teach in the course is, very simply, perfection is the enemy of greatness. So as you're going through your tasks over here, don't try and do them perfectly. In fact, I even have a system where any task has 2 levels. One is done, and then the other that I can completely forget about it. Because most often you're not, especially in 10 minutes, going to be able to finish something completely. You're often going to have to come back to it at a later stage. So I talk about a good enough completion. Obviously, you don't want to be slapdash about things. You want to do things with a sufficient level of quality, and this is something that you'll need to calibrate for yourself. But I see too many people not being able to make progress on this transformational journey simply because they're trying to do everything perfectly. Once you've burnt your boats and you have to get something done because you've committed it to somebody else, you don't want to then have to agonize over doing that perfectly. The system that we put in, it was good enough. The gym session that you get to because you've committed to somebody that you'll be there at 6 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be good enough. But the trick is that the repetition of that and the continual discipline of applying 10 minutes to completing those tasks to achieve your personal transformation, that's where you're going to get the value from. And then I talk about the leadership principles relating to this. So very often you're going to have a team that you need to take with you on some sort of personal transformation. You are be able to go very fast if you go alone, but if you want to go far, you need to go together. You need to go with your team, especially if you're in a leadership role. Even if you think of yourself as a leader of your family or a leader of your friends or your colleagues. And I talk about the transformational approach that you can take to leading teams and helping them to traverse this same journey and helping them to understand the power of these principles over here. And things like a bias for thoughtful action. So if you have just a pure bias for action and you just get things done, then chances are you're going to have a narrow-minded approach to life, and you're not going to see the periphery. And sometimes those things around you can be important, while not necessarily pursuing perfection. And if you're thoughtful in your action, then that thoughtfulness is going to mean you're going to take those people's views into account. You're going to be inclusive as a leader. And instead of just being too action orientated, you're going to just be a little bit thoughtful around them and make sure that those actions take those people with. And I've learned these lessons the hard way as a leader, and I've watched other great leaders learn them as well, and they've shared those lessons with me. And the principles and practices that I talk about and teach you in the course and give you very actionable steps that you can apply to achieve the same benefits in your own life are based on all of that real life experience. So a bias for thoughtful action over here will make sure that you bring people with on this transformational journey over here, because chances are you may not be doing it entirely alone. There will be times in your life when you will have a very specific individual personal goal, but most often we'll need to be doing things as a team. So these are some of the practices, and in the course there's a worksheet, and I give you all of these in detail, and I link through to articles on my blog where you can go and read a lot more information about ultimately how you're going to take where you are today and your current level of productivity, and you're going to solve the frustration that you might have with your inability to get things done, and go to a place where you're able to get a lot more done. You're able to reach ninja level productivity, all starting with the right mindset, making sure you get rid of your plan B mindset, using the power of 10 minutes to get tasks done without agonizing over being perfect, and then ensuring that even as you're doing all of that, you're taking people with you on that journey by having a bias for thoughtful action. So I look forward to seeing you in the course, and please do engage with me, ask questions, and please leave a rating and a review on the course. And I look forward to seeing you in the lessons, and I look forward to seeing your transformation from where you are today to where you're going to be tomorrow, and all the amazing, incredible goals that you're going to achieve, because you will have achieved ninja level productivity.